All right, welcome back. Let's get into this module. What we are going to talk about a little bit is let's really zero in on what our wholesale company is doing and talk about some of the things that we do specifically to go out and find buyers and sellers. And then we'll talk about some different ways to do marketing. And I'll really break down for you what are the low-cost entryways into marketing, and we'll talk about some higher dollar ways to generate leads. So for us, we are what would be considered a high volume real estate company. So lots of ways to do wholesaling, right? You don't have to have a big 6,000 square foot office like we're in here, on the third floor in Chattanooga. You don't have to have that. When I started wholesaling, it was very simple. I literally had, a desk set up in one of the bedrooms of my house, and I was just working out of the house. So don't feel like you have to scale up to this big, massive, company with 20 employees and all of that. That's definitely not the case. So, but just to give you some perspective, that's where we're at now and how we are operating. But like we talked about a little bit earlier, we are at our core in our wholesaling business, we're just a marketing company, right? So what does that mean? In wholesaling, we are not taking ownership of a property. Okay, I just want to be super clear about this. And, so what we are doing is we talked earlier about Mrs. Smith, right? So we come across Mrs. Smith, she needs to sell her property and she wants to sell it quick, no fuss, no muss, she just wants to get rid of it. So we make her an offer, and the number for us is $100,000. We'll talk about in the next module how we can arrive at that number so that you know how to go out and do this. But let's say we contract with her at $100,000, and we know, of course, maybe this property needs to be fixed up, right? It's 1970s, nothing has been updated. We know that if it was updated, it would be worth, maybe $200,000. So we're going to go and take that contract and we're going to sell the contract to an investor, and that difference is our assignment fee, right? So really, when I say we're a marketing company, we are marketing for sellers who want to sell, and we're marketing for cash investors who want to buy those contracts from us or buy those properties, right? So, I have people in my company that is all that they do. Marketing, 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 marketing. And then on the same side, marketing for cash buyers. We spend a lot of time and money and energy doing that. Now, we operate, all across the country in a lot of different states. So that's more challenging than doing it just in your own, backyard or in your own city. So again, we're marketing to find sellers, we're marketing to find buyers. This is called wholesaling. And how is wholesaling different from listing a property, right? Because you might be thinking, well, a realtor gets a listing agreement, puts a sign in the yard, puts the property on MLS, and then they go out and they find another agent who has a buyer or maybe their own buyer, and they sell the property. Well, that's acting as a broker and listing the property, right? What we are doing is we have a contract to purchase the property, and then we're actually just selling our contract. We're selling our interest, our equitable interest in this property to another buyer, and that buyer is going to perform in our place. So it is different than being a realtor. Those words matter. In wholesaling, we're never selling a property. We're selling our deal. We're actually selling paper. We're flipping this piece of paper to this investor, and they are paying us a fee because we went out and locked up this deal. So there's definitely a difference in what we're doing here. So let's talk a little bit about, let's jump over to the board. Let's talk about different ways that you can find your deals. So let's do blue this time. Okay, so what we're going to start with is we're going to start with things that cost nothing, and we're going to go all the way down to things that cost a lot. And I just want to talk about each one of those so you can understand. Again, there are lots of ways to do this, to do the marketing of your business, right? Everything, I like to say, everything in our world is like the scales of justice, right? You either have time or you have money. right? When we started, we had a lot of time because we weren't working a job, and we had no money. So what did we have to do? We invested our time to go out there and do all of the things. Well, now we're at a different spot where I don't have the time that I used to, but I've got enough money to, to pay for some different types of marketing. So let's just take a couple minutes here and let's work through all of these. How to find a deal or a property. Well, networking, of course, right, is the very best way to do this with no money. And networking can mean a lot of things, right? The way that I like to explain that is, if you're in the business of being an investor and buying houses, you should tell everybody, right? If you could get a shirt that says, I buy houses, I'm an investor, get that made. If you're, you're trying to do this with no money. If you could put a sign on your car that says, I'm an investor, or I buy houses for cash, that $20 or $30 decal will go a long ways because people will stop. People will call you, right? People will stop you at Home Depot. Hey, do you buy houses? I have a house that you might want to sell. So there's the public networking, but then there's also going to real estate meetups, right? And talking to other investors who may have a property that they want to sell. Going to your local HOA meeting, right? Or, different town meetings or festivals or whatever, right? And getting out there and getting in front of people and letting them know, hey, I buy houses, right? Maybe you're in the local yard sale groups on Facebook. Hey, does anybody, have a dilapidated house in their neighborhood that they'd love to see get fixed up? Get with me, and if I buy it, I'll give you $500, right? So lots of ways to do this with $0 down, but networking is one of the easiest ones, right? So, and you're going to notice as the further we go down, the more dollars that we spend. So networking, 100% free. Every person that I'm talking to, if we're talking about real estate, I definitely always want to tell them that I am always looking for houses, and you will be amazed when you get out there and you tell people what you do. Oh, well, I know somebody that has this house that they inherited that they just want to get rid of, and they don't want to deal with an agent because an agent's going to want them to fix it up or something like that. So networking, don't sleep on that. When we started, right, let's talk about Bandit Signs. When we got started, again, we had very, very little money. Like I said, we had $5,000. Literally, that was all the money that we had. Me, my wife, my brother, 2 boys, 3 fat dogs. We moved to Chattanooga. So we had to be very judicious with how we spent our money. So what I did, my brother and I, we drove down to Birmingham. We found this distributor, I think it was Tube Light was the name, in Birmingham. And they sold that plastic sign, corrugated plastic, to sign shops to print signs, right? Like you see political signs and all that type of stuff. Well, we went directly to the factory where we were able to buy them for like 38 cents or 28 cents a piece, right? Which was cheap because if we'd just gone to a store here in town, it would have been $1 or $1.50. So we spent the gas to drive to Birmingham. Took us I think it's 2 hours from here. Loaded up the back of his F-150 with all these. We brought like 400 or 500 blank signs. We came back to Chattanooga. I bought black markers and I hand wrote these Bandit signs. So we found a way to do it very, very inexpensively, and we would go out and put out these signs every single week. So did we have some money in it? Yes, right? That's why we say there's $1 sign here, right? Because there is some expense in buying the signs and either the nails to nail them up to poles, which, city doesn't love, or the stands to put them in the ground. Now, I will tell you about this. They're called Bandit signs for a reason because the city does not like them. So, you have to be willing to deal with the calls from the city if you're going to do this. I also recommend don't use your real cell number. Use like a Google Voice number or Grasshopper number or something because they don't love it. I'm going to tell you straight up, if you decide to do this, understand that there are some risks. I'm not telling you that there's no risk involved in doing Bandit signs. However, you will see them every place, and people use Bandit signs because they work. Political signs, Bandit signs, same thing. The local church has signs out, soccer team has signs out, realtors have signs out, investors have signs work. That's why people keep putting them out. Of course, the city comes through, picks them up, and people put them back out again, and it's this vicious cycle. But Bandit signs, 100% work. If you are working on a local model wholesaling, meaning you're just working in your town or city, I would definitely recommend putting out Bandit signs. We work on a virtual model, which means we work nationwide, multiple cities. So it doesn't make any sense for us to ship signs to somebody and have them put them out. It's just not cost effective. But if all of that went away and I had to start tomorrow, and I was dead broke, I would find a way to do Bandit Signs and our next thing here, which is driving for dollars. So what is driving for dollars? What does that mean? So it's exactly what it sounds. So in your town, in everybody's town, right, you can start driving. And when I say drive, I'm finding a hard way to make this sound complicated because it's not. But literally what I would do is I would pick apart a town and I would drive every single street, back and forth, every single street, making sure that I hit all the different roads. And here's what I'm doing. I am looking for properties that either look vacant, right? Maybe no curtains in the window, I can see straight through. Maybe there's real tall grass. There's newspapers on the front porch, right? You could just tell, right? It just looks vacant. And you may not notice it until you start driving through and actually looking for it, but they're there. And maybe we'll include a special module here of me going out and doing some driving for dollars. But start driving up and down and looking for these properties. And it's very simple. Just got to write down the street address, and then you can go home. And if you've got a computer, you can log into your local property appraiser's website and put in that address, and you can see who the owner is and what their mailing address is. And then you can just mail them a very simple letter that says, hey, my name's David, my wife and I were looking for properties in the area, and we were wondering if you'd be interested in selling a house at 123 Main Street. If so, please give me a call, or if you know anybody else who wants to sell, I'd love to speak to them as well. Very simple, very unintrusive. But driving for dollars, you want to make sure that you're driving just all the streets. And what I used to use was one of those free like jogging apps. Obviously I wasn't jogging, but what's great is I would throw that in my windshield and it would track all the streets, and I had a map and I go, oh, I missed this street over here, and I could go back and make sure I hit them. But 100%, if I was broke tomorrow, these are going to be the two things I do that will instantly generate leads. Bandit Signs work amazing. I'm here to tell you, now listen, there's the risk with the city, but no lead is ever going to be as good as you sitting in front of that house, looking at it going, well, this house is definitely empty, or geez, this house is just a wreck. I wonder if they'd be interested in selling it. Those are probably your best two lead sources, and you can do that with very, very low amounts of money down. Like even Bandit Signs, if you just dedicate $300 a month to it, right? What's that, $75 a week, $80 a week, something like that. You go out and put out 50, 60, 70 signs, over your first month, it's going to generate some calls for you, people who are interested in selling their property. And again, driving for dollars, spend 2 hours, 4 or 5 days a week. You will be amazed at the list of properties that you come up with. And then, as you have the money to hand write out the letters or photocopy them, write out the envelopes and put a stamp on them and send them off. Those two things will get your phone ringing with inbound leads. Another thing you could do once you have that list is you can also go out and purchase postcards, right? If you go to a company that I use, it's called ladyprinting.com, and they've got templates of We Buy Houses type postcards, and you can pick a template that you like, change out the information to be your phone number, your name, and you can send them out a letter one month, and then the next month send them one of these postcards. Postcards are very cheap, and it actually costs less to mail it. So if you're on a budget, postcards are a great alternative, right? So moving up from there, now we're getting in direct mail. And these two things will kind of go together, right? So you can direct mail all of the houses that you've driven by and notice that they need some type of a work. Or with direct mail, you can also spend a little bit more money. You can go online and download a list of maybe what's called absentee owners. Let me write that down for you. So an absentee owner here's what it is. When you go into the property appraiser's website and you look up 123 Main Street and you notice that Mrs. Smith owns that, but the mailing address is a P.O. box, or maybe it's California. Absentee just means the mailing address for the tax bill is someplace different from the property. What does that mean? Why would we want to download that list? What sense does that make? It tells us that it's likely that this is an investment property for Mrs. Smith, right, or whoever the owner is, because they don't live at the property. Foolproof? No, right? Some people just have post office boxes, but likely that if you download this list, these people may be interested in selling. So, this is why we go up to $2 bills here, right? 1, 2, because now you're going to have to pay to download that list and then to mail it. So direct mail, lots of lists that you can pull, right? Absentee owners. You could pull just a list of like duplexes. You could pull a list of people who are behind on their water bill or pre-foreclosure. There's a lot of lists that you can start to pull and mail to. But what you're looking for is, I want you to think about it this way. Who is likely to be somebody who would want to sell their property quickly, right? Maybe there's a list of somebody who had it listed with a realtor and that listing expired, meaning it was listed for 60 days, 90 days, 120 days, whatever, and it didn't sell. So they took it off the market. Well, do you think that person had some motivation to sell? Of course they did. They had it listed on the market for 6 months, and then they got so fed up, they took it off the market, right? Those would be great people to reach out to, see if they'd be interested in selling. So direct mail, right? I just want you to understand a couple different ways to do it. You can use the list from your Driving for Dollars, or if you have a little bit more money that you want to spend, you can download a list of likely people who would want to sell. So next level up from that is text blasting. So you take maybe your list of Driving for Dollars, maybe you take your list that you downloaded a pre-foreclosure or people who are delinquent on some of their bills, and you do what's called skip trace it, right? So there are services out there that you can use to skip trace. What I would use for these couple of things is I would go to PropStream. PropStream.com. Great software, and I think it's like $100 a month. And with that, you get like 10,000 downloads. You can skip trace for them. They actually even have postcards that you can use right on their site. So PropStream's a great service. Investors all across the country use it. And you can download maybe your list of absentee owners. You can skip trace it. Right? Let's write that. So what we're going to do is we're going to download our list. So by downloading the list, it's going to, we're going to say, okay, we've picked 300 people that we want to mail to or target, and then we're going to skip trace it, which means we're going to run it through their system, and it's going to spit out phone numbers. Wow. So we downloaded a list, we can mail it. Maybe we're going to take those phone numbers and text them. All right, you could text them from your phone, you could get Google Voice. There are lots of different ways that you can do this, but we're going to text them and say, okay, Joe, 555-1212, whatever. Hey, Joe, my name's David. I drove by your property, saw that you, saw that it needs a little bit of work. I was wondering if you'd be interested in selling it. Or, hey, do you have any properties that you might be interested in parting with? Or, whatever it is, whatever you want that message to be. So now we can text them. And there are companies or services that you can subscribe to where you can do bulk testing, or bulk texting, sorry. An easy one out there is called Roar. Not sure if it's roar.com. You might search Roar texting. Google that and see what comes up, but it's a service where you can send out bulk messages all at one time. So text blasting, right? But you can see how the further we go, there starts to be, more expense involved, right? Because we're downloading now, we're paying to skip trace, and we're subscribing to a service that will allow us to do bulk texting. Struggling with that for some reason. So, we've gone to PropStream, we downloaded our list, we skip traced it. Skip traced us gave us phone numbers, so we could text them, but we could also cold call them, right? So we could just pick up our cell phone literally. Again, you don't have to subscribe to a lot of extra services. You can text one at a time right off your phone. You can call one at a time right off your phone. So if you're going to download a list of 300 people, just pick up the phone and start calling them, right? Hey, Bob, this is David. Saw that you've got a property over on 222 Penelope Lane. I was wondering if you had any interested in selling it. Very simple, right? Nothing complicated, but that's what cold calling is. Right? We're trying to generate leads. Remember, that's what we're doing here, is we're trying to generate somebody who is interested in selling their property so that we can start to have a conversation with them and then see if we can make a deal, contract that property so that we can sell that contract to somebody else. The most expensive way to generate leads, and this is what we do primarily in our company now, is called PPC. We do PPC and Facebook, but I'll tell you what SEO is. So PPC is pay per click, right? So basically what that means is we pay Google to run our ad so that if somebody in Fort Lauderdale, Florida types in, sell my house fast, our ad will pop up for TriStar house buyers and they will click on it, go to our website, enter in all their information, and then somebody on our acquisitions teams gives them a call, says, hey, this is Brittany, I saw that you're on our website and you had left a little bit of information about your property. How can I help you? Right? So you see, that's a different kind of conversation than cold calling where you're reaching out. Now this is an inbound lead that's coming into us and we're calling them back, so we already know that they have some level of motivation. So PPC, SEO, a little bit different than PPC. Search engine optimization takes a little bit longer. If I turn on pay-per-click today, I can start getting calls tomorrow. But I'm going to pay, right? I'm paying Google. They're very big fans of running my American Express card every day. We spend anywhere from $500 to $1,000 per day to generate these leads. SEO takes longer, search engine optimization. I don't do it. There are people you can hire to set this up for you. It's not something I do, so I'm not an expert in it. I don't want to talk to you a whole lot about it, but you can definitely Google what SEO is. It's a little bit longer term play. It takes longer to get set up. And then of course, Facebook ads, right? We run a ton of ads on Facebook. Hey, are you interested in selling your house quick for cash? Click this link and it just jumps them again directly to our website. Somebody in our office here, Kyle, might jump on the phone and say, again, hey, same conversation. Hey, Steve, I saw that you were on our site and you were looking to, maybe sell a property or get a price on it. How can I help you, right? So again, this much more expensive, right? Because we're spending money so that people will start to call us, right? So you can see as you, let me see here. Nope. There it is. I need to cut all that out. Yep. So you can see as we go down the list here, we go from spending no money to spending a lot of money. And this is where most people start. I'll tell you, this is where I started. I started in this 1, 2, 3 area, right? Did not have a lot of money to spend. Now we're at the point where, we're able to do pay-per-click and Facebook ads and spend money and drive the leads to us. So hopefully that gives you a little bit of an idea of different ways that you can do this business. And some people start, right? Maybe they've got $100,000 and they want to invest. They can go right to PPC and Facebook. Although I would really recommend, starting at the lower end so you can learn your way through the business and kind of get your feet wet. But yeah, that's how you find a dealer property, and that's how you decide how you can get into this depending upon what level of funds you have for your marketing. Good luck.